3861.
Anything that you want me to put in the
Don't matter to me.
record, otherwise just give me a copy when you're done.
No.
You're gonna state it? Okay. That's fine. It's on there. It's just that.
Oh, okay.
You don't wanna print more? There's,
I like keeping it dry.
I know there's some under the packet on the bottom there.
No, they didn't. I get it.
I understand. I didn't know if that was your.
Yeah, you got one.
You're not special.
Hey, it's in here, Sarah.
Oh, you do have it? Oh. Oh, I'm sure. Oh, did they? I can't believe the people at home had such a picture show on Saturday. I thought that was crazy. But I think it was just so nice that did a special delivery.
So, this is just sewer.
Yeah, but that's on 6,000, so you gotta take ours and multiply it up.
Yeah.
We're only
yeah,
going off of
okay.
2,500 gallons.
So if you're gonna add that to this,
I know.
that's a hell of a bill. This is fine. It is what it is.
Yeah, it's gonna be kicking the shorts.
Huh?
It's gonna be kicking the shorts,
I know,
but we knew it was coming.
But a lot of this is due to our funding didn't come through. That's,
Yeah, that hurt.
and we're not sure if it's gonna do it yet either.
It's got to. Ooh, I wonder if that's Jake. That's Jake.
We're good to go whenever you are. Uh-oh.
We will now call the meeting to order. We will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before starting the meeting, I want to remind everyone our city council meetings observe Robert's Rules of Order. The public must obtain permission of the mayor before addressing the city council. Individuals who are noisy or unruly do not have the right to remain in the council chambers and may be removed. Could I get a motion now to approve the agenda?
So move.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any other discussion?
I would like to make a point of discussion on the minutes that we're adopting on the consent agenda. I had a discussion with Deborah Olson, and she would like to amend the minutes to say that she never did say at the meeting that she was refused placement on the agenda. She never said Sarah Brunn would not place her on the agenda. And I do recall from the, her statement and the back and forth, I would have been very upset if somebody had refused to put her on the agenda. And I think that just became a non-issue for her. So I don't recall her ever saying, and she says she did not say that Sarah Brunn refused to put her on the agenda. So I would like to correct the minutes, to say that, or to delete the part that says she stated that Sarah Brunn would not put her on the agenda. I really, she was upset about that, and I would have been upset if the city had refused to put her on the agenda, and I understood during that conversation that that had not happened. There had been discussion and some information exchanged, but she never accused the city of refusing to put her on the agenda, because I think that would reflect poorly on our city council if we did not allow people to come on the agenda. So I would like to make a motion to amend the minutes. Let me find the exact spot.
Yeah. Councilmember Masakio, you should remove the minutes from the consent agenda first. And then,
So I would like to remove the.
Yep.
Remove the minutes from the consent agenda. I need to make a motion.
yep, and then motion that, and then,
To
yep.
remove the minutes from the consent agenda so that they could be amended.
Second.
There's been a motion made. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any other discussion?
So we're removing all the minutes from the consent agenda, or just this?
Well, I just want to be clear that you're not acting on that, and the bills list, you gotta pull it out and make the change first. So however you want to handle it, just make sure you make the change first to the minutes and then approve the rest of it.
Is there any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Mr. Mayor, you still have a motion to approve the consent
I make
agenda.
a motion that we approve the rest of the minutes of that being on the agenda.
No.
No, I think you just want to approve the bills list at this point, the rest of them remaining consent agenda, and then deal with the minutes.
So I'll second the motion to approve the remaining consent agenda.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Now you need to address the change in the minutes, because I didn't understand that to be a part of her original motion.
I'm sorry?
Was your motion to amend the minutes?
Motion would be to amend the minutes of the last meeting. And, I have to figure out where that is, I'm sorry. Oh dear, where did we, okay. It would be in the portion under the mayor's comments and open forum. The second sentence, she she said she had originally asked to be on the agenda to discuss Robert's Rules of Order. I would like to remove the words, but claimed the city administrator had refused to request. That's, my motion is to delete that phrase.
Okay, a motion's been made and seconded.
Well, do we have a second?
Did somebody?
I'll second that.
Jack seconded the first time.
Yeah, but this is another one. Motion's been made and seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We will now move on to the Wastewater Regionalization Project. Jake Humberg will be representing Bolton Menke.
So as the mayor said, I'm Jake Humberg. I'm with Bolton and Menke, and I'm standing in for Jared Vogie tonight. Presenting pay application number 5 for the wastewater regionalization project. Total amount of this pay application is $791,225.79. The work that's taken place in the last month has included approximately 7,000 feet of open cut force main installation between Foley and St. Cloud, approximately 800 feet of trenchless force main installed. Major construction on the Gulf lift station, including multiple concrete pours down along the south edge of those ponds, and then miscellaneous stored materials for both the force main pipe that's being installed, the lift stations, and the odor control building. So I'll do my best to handle any questions that anyone might have. Otherwise, I recommend the pay estimate be approved.
Where's the odor control building gonna be placed?
So our current location is, I couldn't describe it to you exactly. It's between Foley and St. Cloud, and there's a county parcel that we're looking at placing it on. It's along the force main route.
Okay.
Does anybody else have any questions for him?
There's no issue on that land?
We're working through some stuff right now. It seems like we have a path forward to construct it there, though.
Yeah. Still on schedule?
Yep.
Any other questions for him?
I'm assuming they'll keep working until the weather tells them otherwise?
Correct. They'll keep working until the frost gets so heavy that backfilling is no longer possible, because you'd be backfilling with frozen materials.
Right.
Any other discussion? Can we get a motion?
So
I'll
moved.
make second.
Motion's been made and seconded to take care of the bill. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Jake. Now, we have the 2022 State Senate and Representative candidates. We have Isaac Schultz, who's running for Senate, and Nathan Wessenberg, who's running for House. Oh, well, we were close. I got the names right. I think it'd be best maybe if we could get both of you up there at the same time at the podium, then we'll ask a question, and then you both can give us your answer for any questions that we may have.
Do you want us to start with any sort of introduction?
Absolutely.
Mayor, council members, thank you for this opportunity. I'm Isaac Schultz, running for the newly created House District 10B. You've been served by Representative Shane Meckman for the last 4 years, and I'm running to fill those shoes to represent all of the city of Foley, rural Benton County, as well as 4 surrounding counties as well. I'm running to help make Minnesota more affordable. I'm from the city, or I'm from Uppsala in Morrison County, and grew up in the townships, and been heavily involved in helping rural Minnesota matter. And so I want to help make Minnesota more affordable. And I'm here tonight, one really big purpose that I have tonight is help learn as much as possible about this sewer project that you all are facing, and how I can be an asset to you at the state legislature. One of the biggest things that I see my role as being is literally kind of a conduit between state and city, a conduit between, could be a broadband company, it could be others. There's certain connections to help facilitate good governance and the best service of the constituents of this area. So I'm a conservative. Like I said, I want to make Minnesota more affordable, but that means for the people who live here in Foley. And in particular, we don't want the cost incurred by this need in the sewer upgrades to be something that's unbearable for the area taxpayers and for the people here. So I want to be a part of the solution, and we have a big opportunity. In particular, for me, as from looking from the outside, and I still have a lot to learn from each and every one of you, but looking from the outside, I think the opportunity that we have is with the federal infrastructure dollars having been passed. The state will still be taking a look in the upcoming session at a bill to allow for those federal dollars to flow, which means the state will have to come in with a 20% match. That could happen on the state or the local level, but I certainly think that the state is going to look at a bill like that, and it would be my goal to try and bring you guys to the table and to be a part of that ultimate bill that I believe that the legislature will take up. So that's my quick introduction. Thank you.
My name is Nathan Kuzenberg. I was born and raised in Little Falls. I'm still living there with my family, and so I'm running for Senate in District 10, so that'll be the Benton County, Morrison County, Mille Lacs, and Kennebec, southern part of Crow Wing district in Isanti, and the southern half of Aiken. So I'm a conservative, and I've been working in my community for the last couple years already with education issues, township issues, and anything people have come to me with. So I just want to have people communicate with me and let me know what you need. So last week we had talked about the sewer issue, and that's why I'm here too. I need to learn what we need to do to help you with what's going on here in Foley. So I did talk to Andrew Matthews also, and he kind of filled me in on what's been going on. So I'm here to help you, and that's that. So yeah.
Okay. Well, that Isaac kind of touched on it already, but the big thing I was wondering is your guys' position on this wastewater grant funding, because that bill stalled in the legislature this last spring, never got through, and we really need that bonding bill to get through as fast as possible, because there's a lot of money involved for the city, like $7 million, and we would, are you both going to be fighting hard to get this pushed through as soon as possible?
So you're going to have to catch me up on what's going on, because I don't know what is going on. But yeah, we're going to have to help you get the money, because I know you're probably paying a high interest loan or something right now to get your infrastructure done, correct? Or
yeah, we had to take out a bigger loan than we had planned on, because this bill did not go through like we had hoped it would.
Yep.
And it's a $22 million project.
Yep. And you have how much left to pay?
Well, they said there was around $7 million in that bill that we should have been able to get.
Okay.
Yeah, so let me just take first your question specifically to the bonding bill that was a part of the last legislative session. I don't think that we're going to have an entirely new legislature. Over a third of the legislature will be brand new. So we're going to have to put forward bills that come in, and the requests that come in from communities, including the one here for Foley. And so we're just going to have to take a pragmatic approach and take just the traditional process for budgeting here in the state of Minnesota. Traditionally, and I'm not saying that this is how it's going to be, because we have a lot to determine here in next week's election, But let's start by ensuring that we have a state budget first, and more traditionally, and I'm not saying that this is the way that it's going to be in this coming year, but bonding has been taken up in the second year of the biennium. But what I'm trying to say here, and I want to learn the bits and pieces, I know many of you are going to be a part of this, and know the specifics on the funding that you need, but I want the goal to be that when we're just literally kind of providing the authorization for those federal infrastructure dollars to be done in Minnesota, that we provide the state funding match so that your project is included in that. And that's my commitment. As it relates to particularly a bonding bill, bonding bills carry a lot of different politics to them, a lot. From, you know, when we have a state budget, do we want to be mortgaging our future, or do we want to be paying for the things, you know, with cash? And right now, obviously Minnesota's blessed with a budget surplus, but there's a lot of different things that have to come together. And so until we know exactly what the legislature is going to be made up of between Republicans and Democrats, are we going to have a Republican governor or not, these are different things that are going to impact what an ultimate bonding bill looks like. And so I think the best route, just from the outside looking in, is to focus upon those federal infrastructure dollars for this sewer project rather than a bonding project. That's my initial impression.
We need that bonding bill passed as soon as possible. And
So-
that's why, you know, I'm hoping if you guys get elected, you'll push hard for that right away. I mean, there may be other stuff but that should have been passed last spring and it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
And we need that passed, you know, as soon as possible.
Right, right. You need the money as soon as possible here in
Yes.
Foley, right? So that's my commitment, to help you get the money as soon as possible through whatever avenue possible, right? I don't know that bonding is going to be that route in the upcoming session. Being very, very straightforward with you, because traditionally bonding isn't done in the first year of a biennium.
You know the need, but do you know when in the legislative process that this is gonna be brought about and looked at as far as, allotting this money? Do you have any idea when this might happen?
Yeah, part of it is going to be based upon what happens in the election, right? If there's, you know, Nathan and I certainly want to see full Republican control of state government. When you give us the opportunity to have full Republican control of state government, we're going to be able to run our state in a more efficient manner than we have seen it in my lifetime. In my lifetime, it will be the most efficient that we've ever seen. We'll get our work done. We'll get our work done sooner, and we'll get that money to you faster. And in particular, as it relates, and again, this is traditional. This is just this is the nuts and bolts. This is the nuts and bolts of the government. We're not talking about wasteful spending. We're talking about sewer systems in rural Minnesota, right? This is the basics. And I said this to Councilor, is it Gondek? Last week, like this is traditional infrastructure. This is the key stuff to allow our communities to even sustain, let alone grow, right? And so we're not talking about wasteful spending here. So my commitment is just simply find the vehicle to get you the $7 million that you need. I just don't think that in the short term that's going to be bonding.
Thank you.
Oh, you wanna go ahead? I wanted to clarify that the $7 million is a grant that we already qualified for and are scheduled to receive, but it got muddled in with all the other bonding bill stuff. So we went through the regular state program and qualified for that money. So we're on the list scheduled to receive it, but the problem is the state every 2 years has to replenish that pot of money, that big pot of money for all of these programs. So just to clarify, it's a grant that we are waiting for $7 million, a point source implementation grant. I'm sorry, so you go ahead.
No, where was my train of thought? Well, Isaac had brought up wasteful spending, and I think that's where we can look at cutting whatever the wasteful spending is to get this money for your communities and whatever other communities need it. You know, so there's things that need to be done like this, and then your community can't grow until this is done either, from what we talked about last week, correct? Like you can't have extra housing and things come in, so it's important for your community to grow for this to get done, and that'll.
So with that, let's say that our grant is in a bonding omnibus bill, and everything is looking good until the final hour, and then something gets dumped into this omnibus bill where you don't disagree with, would you still vote for the bill?
Depends on what's in the omnibus bill, and that's the tricky thing, you know, that's where we have to work on getting, well, technically omnibus bills aren't even legal, so we're gonna wanna do this on a this case basis and do what we can with the most relevant thing. So, if someone's looking for a playground, it's probably more important to get your sewer done before we appropriate funding for a playground, right? So I know what you're saying though, if this gets put into a omnibus bill, which is also asking for, has a hair law or something in it, you know, we
How
have
do
to
you
work.
stand?
We have to work to get that stuff out to vote for this.
Well, and
Right.
what we've seen in the past few years, everything goes down to the final hour.
Yeah.
How do you stand on it?
Well, I've been talking about that with some senators already, you know, we have Fridays off, or maybe we don't need to take Fridays off, maybe we just need to keep working, because there's work to be done. And that's why I wanna go down and get work done, not take time off. We've only got 5 months in session, so, yeah. I'm going to do everything I can to get the money where it needs to be without all the other crap.
Isaac?
Yeah, Counselor, you raise a good question, and the truth is, and I said this to other groups who asked me where I would stand on bonding, I can't give you a definitive yes or no without knowing the contents of the bill. Just the same, you know, if you were my city councilor, I wouldn't ask you to give me a yes or no on something that you haven't seen. And I'll just simply use that. I want to see this infrastructure money come. I'm going to be in full communication with your entire team of people to help bring this about. But I can't give you a firm yes or no without knowing the full contents of the bill, in addition to the size and how that fits within our state's budget.
Okay, second of all, my second question is, what do you think we should do with surplus?
Well, I've been saying give it back, but you know, this would be a place to spend it, right? So we have got $14 billion, so maybe we can use some of that money for the things that need to get done. But I've been telling everybody we need to give that money back. But if there's something like this that needs to get done, maybe that's a good place to put it. That's not something I can do alone. I'm gonna have to talk to my colleagues and things, but that would be something that would make sense rather than, you know, something else, yeah.
Yeah, we want our government to be more responsive to the people, and I think we have an amazing opportunity next Tuesday to elect conservatives across the board and change the game in Minnesota so that our state agencies are more responsive to us. In the process of that, I think that we are going to break loose a lot of different spending items that we don't need, and frankly get them to a point of sunsetting or removing them entirely from the state budget. As it relates to our current budget surplus, we have $10 billion. Like I mentioned, there is going to be that vote that comes up to specifically deal with transportation and infrastructure projects based upon that federal bill that was passed. And the state should absolutely, if we should take advantage of those federal dollars that are available by leveraging the 20% for those traditional infrastructure projects just like this one. Wastewater, roads and bridges, broadband, these are things that can continue to help us grow in rural Minnesota. And so that's going to be a priority. You know, we have to ensure, you know, this is a good example, right? The Democrats spent the last several years trying to defund the police. We need to ensure that we're creating the pipelines for future law enforcement officers. That's another area to invest. You know, and in addition, you know, I'm not going to leave out education. You know, I certainly believe in choice in education, and we have to ensure that our rural schools are getting, you know, frankly, equal funding to the schools in the metro. Those are priorities. But understand the overarching theme and the things that I've been running on and will prioritize is ultimately making Minnesota more affordable, right? We're one of the top 5 taxed states in the entire nation, and it doesn't have to be this way. And so, you know, you will see from me, if elected, that I'm going to be pushing to lower income tax rates for the aspirational goal of literally eliminating income taxes in Minnesota. We won't be able to do that in 1 year, but we need to start on a path towards that so that we can get economic prosperity and make Minnesota more affordable.
Any other council people have a question?
Well, I would just like to make the comment, when we launched into this sewer project, we didn't just decide to do it and the money will come. We have a package of federal money and state money and local commitments that we have made. We had $22 million to the penny and we started building. And we're really struggling for survival here in Foley. If we can't build houses and we can't get industry in here, you wanna make it affordable. You know what the water rates are gonna be if our population, you know, what are our property values gonna be if we don't have toilets and running water? Or if and you know, you can see all over the east, we are lucky in Minnesota that we have clean water and that we handle our waste wisely. But my heart is breaking a little bit because I have a cottage that my family's owned since before I was born and I'm old. And another one of our chain of 3 lakes has just been on the impaired waters list. You know, this water thing, whether it's sewer or drinking water, Minnesota is so blessed with all this water. You just gotta take care of it. And that's why we had to do the sewer system, because we have these open ponds and when it rains, they flood over because they're over capacity. And that's all over the rural area. You know, we're not the only ones that have those. Gilman has those. St. John's University has those ponds, and they're old technology. I'm not sure when they came in, but you know, we're digging up 100-year-old pipes here. So I know you want us to pay. Somebody said, why don't you have the money in hand? Why do you borrow money to build a sewer? Well, sewer's gonna last 75 or 100 years. Now, I'm 70 years old. I'm not gonna be using them in 100 years, but other people are. So it makes sense to borrow the money, and everybody that uses those pipes puts in some money for them. So rural Minnesota is really hurting on this infrastructure thing.
Counselor, I just want to add to your point. I agree with your premise. I do. And so I want to find the vehicle at the state level to allow that to happen. And that might be a bonding bill. I'm not saying that I'm opposed to a future bonding bill, and let me be very clear when I say that. It just depends upon the guts of that bill. And then my follow-up question to you as well is, so the $22 million, was that a number from 22 or from 2022? Or is there anything on the horizon? And I'm very sincere about this. Are we any bit concerned about the cost of inflation and the rising cost of this project? I want to know.
Under budget.
Yeah.
Under the 22 million. You know,
We're bid, we're locked in.
We're locked in.
Yep, we have a contracted bid.
So we are not throwing out money there. I mean, we're very hesitant to do this. It's a lot more money than I've ever had to do this before, but it's really required to keep this town alive. And to, you know, if we can get a little bit of prosperity in here and jobs, it's gonna be cheaper to live here the more people that use the sewer. You know, that population growth brings the costs down for living in a small town. So you know, big spending is not really gonna raise our cost of living, it's really gonna lower it.
Sarah?
I just want to add one thing. The impact, and this council has to deal with this tonight. If we don't resolve our $7 million grant problem, 127% increase is what the residents and community has to go. It's right on this chart here. So we have 127% yet to go to get that to that point. So that's how much money you're talking about. That's how much impact that's going to have on this local community.
Any other members of the council have any other questions for them?
No, you can't do miracles, but just do the job you have to do, and don't forget the urban communities. We should come first.
I want to thank you both for coming to Foley. It means a lot to me when people from the legislature, from the state government actually show up here. Because I know when I was a little girl, one time, they were trying to decide where to put nuclear waste, and they said, well, right here, and a little guy who we knew from St. John's University said, well, where's Foley? Well, they were gonna put a nuclear waste dump in Foley because we weren't on the map. So we do appreciate your coming. I wanna thank you for your interest.
Thank you.
Yeah, we thank you both for coming. If you'd like to stay for the rest of the meeting, fine, but I know you're both pretty busy, so.
1 week to go, right? I'll just say this, and I don't wanna speak for him, but, I'm looking for a partnership. I'm looking, for the ability, to work with you, to be in communication with you. If I have the chance to represent our area, which would be an extremely humbling experience, I wanna work hand in hand with you to solve these problems and to do my best, within my sphere of influence to be a part of the solution. That's what I'm asking for. And whether it's you as council members or whether it's, city staff, department leads, like when there is an issue, and this one in particular, like I wanna get to know it and get to see it. I wanna understand it more than just numbers. So when you talk about overflowing system, like I personally want to see that so that I can be the best advocate for you, and that's my request.
Well, when I was first elected to council, I made Mark take me out and view the ponds
Good.
in the city front.
Excellent.
Because I was sadly unfamiliar with exactly what we were talking about. And it's something to see, and Shane Mecklin and I met on a Greyhound, Jefferson Lines bus, and we were touring with the DNR, or with the Minnesota Soil and Rural Water Projects. So we were taking the manure tour around the district, and it was very interesting, all the different things that go into protecting our water, so. Drive to St. Cloud, you can see our pipes all over the place.
I do want to add too, thank you for having me here, and if you need to contact me, I know you want to get going with your meeting, but just feel free to contact me with anything, and you can get a hold of me so we can work together, so.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
At this time, 6:03, we will recess the regular city council meeting to conduct a public hearing on ordinances 469, 470, and 471, updating the water and sewer fees and the 2023 fee schedule. Is there anyone present who wishes to speak for or against this matter? Is there anyone? Go to the podium, state your name and address.
Thank you. Deborah Olson, 600 Dewey Street, Foley, Minnesota.
Speak into the mic, please.
Deborah, can you
Yeah.
get the mic right down there so they can hear you better?
Better? Somebody asked me a question. Is there a fee structure in our water and sewer? There's a couple of folks that are snowbirders, and they like to drain their house, shut everything off. Is there a winter fee schedule just for shut off like that?
You want me to take that? We don't have a winter fee schedule, but the option of just disconnecting and then reconnecting the water would be available to those people for the fee.
But there is a fee for that.
Correct,
Shut
yep,
off.
there's a turn on, turn off fee.
Right.
Some people do that, it depends on the situation and how many months they're gone.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak for or against this matter?
Mr. Mayor, I was given this letter that I'm going to read. Becky Berger, 237 Elm Drive. It has to do with the water rates. And I quote, "I am unfortunately unable to attend the city council meeting tonight. I would just like to express my absolute frustration with the city water bill and the plan of raising it again. In looking at surrounding communities of Becker, Rice, and St. Cloud, the average water and sewer bill combined is just under $40 per month. The fact that the city of Foley is going to be a minimum of $65 per month is ridiculous. Can't the city apply for state or federal grants some other forms of financial support besides passing the excessive rate increases on to our small community. That is so extremely frustrating when I already need to have 2 jobs to feed a household of 2 and keep up with the increasing property taxes and utility expense increases. Please consider funding sources other than city residents.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak for or against this matter? We will now, at 6:07, reconvene the regular city council meeting. The biggest discussion we have to have here is setting the new bulk water rate as requested by staff. Now, does anyone have anything to say on this?
Mr. Mayor, I think that's, the $3 is pretty high at this time. We're already putting the citizens under restraint by raising the fees that we have to because we know the PSIG money and legislature and things like that. But I think by raising it to $3 takes away the option of people that want to buy bulk water and set up their own system for sprinkling their lawns or gardens or things like that. I think it's a little bit exorbitant for $3. I'd like to find a happy medium somewhere to where it's not so expensive.
In changing that or alternating that, how does it affect the contract that we're already in for our funding?
We're proposing this to be effective the first of the year. So we would bill all the usage at the end of this year, and then the new rate would be applicable. So those would be passed down to those contracts, for next year as an additional cost if you made a change.
So it won't affect any of the funding that we're into now?
No.
As far as
It's just, you're just going to pass the higher rate on when you bill it out, and will generate that revenue. When you say funding, are you talking about our existing projects?
correct.
Yeah, I mean, there would be an additional cost, because we have subcontractors that are pulling bulk water, and we are billing them for that, so they would be subject to that increased rate.
Well, I think we need to reach some kind of balance, and Sarah, I want you to listen to my words to make sure I'm saying this correctly. My understanding is our citizens pay $2.60 a gallon for the water.
They would pay $2.60 a gallon next year if you add the water and the sewer rate together, because they pay for sewer charges when they sprinkle.
The bulk water rate is now $1. So we're proposing to raise it to 3, is that correct?
I just put that in there as a placeholder,
Okay.
keeping that $2.60 in mind. It's completely up to you. We do recognize at the staff level that 3 is high compared to what we found in other cities. But we probably do need to move off of 1.
Yeah. Because my thought is the bulk water purchasers don't pay for any of the infrastructure that our city citizens do, and yet they're just able to get water cheaper than our citizens. On the other hand, if we don't sell the bulk water, is that gonna hurt our finances? Are they gonna go elsewhere for that water? Do we know?
Probably not for the price of fuel.
This year's crazy because of the projects, but, I mean, ultimately, when we set rates, we have to be mindful that there's a certain overhead level. You have to be able to maintain that. I don't know, what do we sell? Is it $10,000 worth of water a year? More? I haven't done the actual billing in so long, but
I'd say more.
More than 10,000? We don't know, okay.
it fluctuates based on weather, just like, spring, they obviously need more water when they're doing landscaping and things if it's dry and.
Well, I want it to be fair to our citizens. It seems unfair that the people that are putting together the infrastructure and worrying about the well and worrying about the sewer shouldn't be paying more than people that just show up and want a couple thousand gallons of water. Now, if it's a fire department, I have sympathy for them and I wouldn't wanna gouge them.
That's different.
That's
No.
different, okay,
This is just bulk water,
yeah.
This is commercial sales, bulk
Yeah.
water.
So,
but citizens could buy it if they chose
Yep.
to.
We do have some people that
Yep.
like fill pools and, rent a tanker and do that. Yep.
um,
Well, we definitely have to raise it up from that $1. I was looking, I think maybe $2 per 100 gallons is kind of what I was looking at. Mark?
I'd say tops $1.50. You're not paying any sewer on that water.
Right.
It doesn't cost our sewer system anything to take that water out of there.
Okay.
So that's double what double and a half what you're charging the citizens. So.
I could go with $1.50.
That was my thought on it, reading this, $1.50 would be fair.
well, the citizens are paying about $2.60, is that accurate?
They're paying 65 cents a hundred for water.
Oh, 65 cents on it.
I'm talking
For
Yeah.
water.
sprinklers with the sewer, I think
Yeah.
they pay more.
And then we charge them for sewer.
Yeah, right. $1.95 on that.
Which they don't have an option out of, they're
Nope.
stuck with that sewer.
This is just bulk water.
Well, we had an option for a sprinkler thing, but it got voted down. So,
Yeah, so we don't have that, so, yeah. Well, $1.50, what about $2? Too high? It's only, what, 10,000 gallons of water?
I was looking at $1.50. I make the motion that we go with $1.50 per 100 for bulk water rate.
Motion has been made. Do we have a second?
I'll
I-
second that.
We have a motion that has been made and seconded. Is there any other further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Motion carried. Is there any
150.
other problems with the fee schedule that any of the council people would like to see? Then can we get a motion adopting ordinances 469, 470, and 471?
I make that motion.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any other discussion?
My only other discussion is we still don't have an ordinance before us on changing the rates for the apartments. Sarah said she's gonna get the wording for that in before the end of the year. But that's been an ongoing discussion that we're going to charge the apartment buildings per household, or I don't know if it's gonna be per household plus a different bill for the common areas or how they're gonna do that, but we still don't have that ordinance
Right now, it's a one-time charge for the whole building, right, Mark?
That's correct. If someone could help, it says in here, multifamily charge one minimum per unit, so we're planning on switching that, right?
She says we're gonna fix it, but it's not fixed today if we pass this. What we have just passed doesn't fix it. We still need another ordinance. And I would like to, instruct
Can I,
the
Mr. Mayor?
city
Where-
administrator, as she has planned, that we get that done by the end of the year.
That's the question.
Where are we at with the multi-family charge one minimum per?
The apartment,
That's,
apartment rates.
We're still moving forward with it, I just need to write the code.
that's what this part here is, right, under?
Yeah, I just noted it in the fee schedule, so we have a placeholder, but we need to draft a whole new section of code, cause it's a new thing.
So if we draft that section of code, then we need to have a public hearing. Can we get that done for the?
Yeah, we will get it done. Like I said in my memo, we'll bring that forward either in November or December to get that done, and that's still plenty of time.
So right now, that's excluded.
No, we're including it in the fee schedule, which is common for us to have 2 points, so that there's a note in there, but yes, there'll be some additional correspondence. Because the council had indicated that's what they wanna do, they wanna move forward with that.
Yeah, I would like to see that increase be the same as when the private residents get their increase, and the commercial people.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. At 6:17, we will recess the regular city council meeting to conduct a public hearing on resolutions 2022, 2026, and 2027, assessing I&I penalties and weed and snow charges. Is there anyone present who wishes to speak for or against this matter? Is there anyone present who wishes to speak for or against this matter? Is there anyone present who wishes to speak for or against this matter? Okay, at 6:18, we will reconvene the regular city council meeting. Is there a motion adopting resolutions 2022, 2026, and 2027 related to the assessments?
So moved.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. At 6:19, we will now recess the regular city council meeting to conduct a public hearing on the tobacco compliance violation of Casey's General Store. Is there anyone present who wishes to speak for or against this matter? Please step up there, state your name and address.
My name is Stephen Van Arsdale. I actually live in Blaine, Minnesota. I represent Casey's as the district manager of St. Cloud, Malacca, Ogilvy, Foley. I just want to say that's not an image Casey's would like to hold. That person has been given a corrective action and has been retrained. The whole store will go under a retraining, and my whole district would go under a retraining for this.
Okay, thank you.
You realize this is your second violation.
I do. So I am new to this district. I started a couple weeks ago. I saw the last one was in 2019. Yes, it was a different employee. Casey's used to have a policy which we used to terminate on failure. We have changed that policy into coaching to try to retain our staff, but it is a huge issue that we do not want to be a part of.
So what other safeguards have you put into place?
So I'm talking with the new manager there. We're going to ID everyone that comes in, no matter how old they are, just to make sure this doesn't happen again if we are allowed to. Just the training for the ID even makes you like touch it. So like for your birth date or like your hair color, like it goes into really depth for how to check an ID. So I don't know exactly how it happened. It sounded like it was busy, but that's not an excuse at all. Like I said, he has been given a corrective action, which I have with me today, and he has been retrained already, and then my whole staff will be retrained. That's everybody in my 14 stores.
I noticed before this, so you were IDing everybody.
So we're supposed to ID anyone that looks under 40. So that's KC's policy. We have a BARS program that goes in and checks periodically through the quarters, and they've never failed one before until that, my knowledge, until today, or till a couple days ago.
Chief, you got anything to add?
You mentioned it's their second
You mentioned it was their second violation within 36 months. They also were violated in 2019. 17, 19, and now this year, 22.
So as time goes by, this was 11/14, so in 2 weeks, they'll be back down to 1 violation, correct?
4 with that, yes. Yep, it will go, it's every 36 months if they're in violation, yes. So now if they violate again next year, then that starts again.
So what we're looking at this time, $600 fine?
Per state statute, the minimum you can do is a $600 fine, yes.
And no revocation.
That is up to the council per our ordinance if you want to revocate their license or suspend it. It is in the city ordinance that you may do that. State law does not mandate that you have to until the 3rd violation.
So is there any other compliance checks besides this one this year?
We are only required by law to do them once a year, and due to staffing issues and volunteer issues, we do them per the statute of once a year.
Okay.
I make a motion they be assessed a fine without revocation.
We can't,
You're still,
we have to go back to a public meeting before we can do the motion.
Okay,
Does anyone have any other questions for him?
No, I would just like to comment that we take this very seriously. You know, smoking was common, I'm old, it was commonplace when I was young, but it is so detrimental to health. And I think the younger people, whatever we can do to deter them is our duty, you know, to try to protect their health. I know it's a difficult situation because I know the kids are trying to get the cigarettes, but I think all you can do is retrain people. I haven't heard of any other, you do keep your cigarettes under lock and key?
Yes, they stay behind the registers, and we keep them locked up. We also have a BARS program, so Casey's pays us third-party company that comes in and checks IDs, like I said, 3-4 times a quarter, and we get green cards or red cards. And then if it happens multiple, we give coaching, corrective actions, then termination if it happens too often. So Casey's itself actually has a plan in motion to help this through their whole company.
Okay. Well, I appreciate your corrective efforts. I don't know if we should step up our enforcement. My question would be to Katie. Go once a year, we can do it more.
we could do it more, but then we run into my staffing issues and getting the volunteer issues.
Is there?
I think we're fine with the annual inspection.
Is there any other questions for him? Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak for or against this matter? Okay, at 6:26, we will reconvene the regular city council meeting. And Gary, you had a motion?
I made a motion. We assess the fine without revocation.
I'll second the motion.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Be careful.
We will now move on, open forum. I don't think there was anybody signed up for open forum.
No, there is not.
We'll move to department reports. Police Department, Kate McMillan.
Right, Mr. Mayor, members of your council, I do have quite a bit for you tonight. I do apologize in advance. You received the normal stat report for the month of October. We had 394 calls. That's up from last month. Last month, reminder, was 366. Accidents were up, and parking tickets for the 30-minute parking were up. So just now, starting November 1st, is the winter parking enforcement. So we had lots of people parking downtown in that 30-minute zone.
Excuse me,
yes.
you issued a ticket, no warning the first time, just a parking ticket?
For the 30-minute parking, correct.
Right.
That is well posted, and that does not get a warning for that. That would be too difficult for the officers to track. We have had a lot of fraud investigations going on, and those take a lot of time. Reminder to everyone that Publishers Clearinghouse, if you win a prize, you do not have to send them money. Just reminder on that. A lot of, and miscellaneous, a lot of it is motorist assist calls, so people stopping, needing help getting through the construction. So hopefully after that is done, some of those will go down. And a reminder to the people driving too, it is illegal to talk on your cell phone while operating a motor vehicle. We've had a lot of stops dealing with those. We did our biannual predatory offender checks, so that's also included in there. We had an increase of records checks and human services reports. So that's like child endangerment reports that we get, and we have to look through each one to make sure that if there's anything law enforcement can do or not. So they take quite a bit of time also. And what you're going to start seeing, it will be periodically, it does take time, is I included in your packet the stat report in kind of a different view. I have a line graph that shows the last 5 years, and you can see in that the increase of where we're at. We're that darker blue on top compared to the other years. So every month this year except for May was higher than the years prior. Then you also have a bar graph in there that shows for the call wise. That's to break that down so you can see where the calls are that are increased. I just did that one this afternoon. I got time to do that. So, so you'll be seeing those periodically for sure at the end of every year. So come like the January meeting, you will for sure be seeing those, and then periodically throughout the year. So it's just another reminder to show you that our calls are increasing, different format. Yesterday and the Friday before, I did Halloween safety. I talked to approximately 130 kiddos on how to be safe when they were trick-or-treating. We had no issues. Staffing, we're getting by with what we have. Shifts are all filled. An event coming up is Cocoa with a Cop in December. I'm not quite sure on the date on that. I'm still working with community ed. Reminder of a few ordinances. Make sure you are not blowing, raking, or piling your leaves on the roadway. Just that came in this afternoon, and I did address this issue with a few that I did come across. All the officers are known of the ordinance, and they will be out and helping enforce it also, so just a reminder. And winter parking is an enforcement, no parking on the city streets from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. And I sent you the email. We passed our post-board audit with no issues at all. And then one last thing I have is our RMS system, LATG, like everything, it always comes up, we have it, and then after a few years it goes into what they call a maintenance mode, where they're not going to be coming out with any new versions or updating it like they usually do. So then we're going to have to look into, in a few years, upgrading the whole system. And so I'm working with the Sheriff's Office on what they're doing, because we're going to do it all together, because then it'll be more cost efficient that way. So, but that's not until a couple years where that will eventually completely go away. So, just wanted to let you know all about that right away. But other than that, I believe that is all I have for you. Do you have anything for me?
So where it says citations issued, that's an actual ticket given out?
Correct, for violation, for traffic violation, yes.
And then everything else, driving conduct, equipment, speed, those are not tickets? Those are just
Correct, well.
stopped?
Right, those are stopped. The asterisk is in front of those, because their number is already included, like where it was, like if it was a speeding citation, the speeding is counted up there and then that's a citation separate. So it's not double counting, cause when I put the asterisk in front, it doesn't count it, so.
TZD hours?
Right now, it's start of a new grant, and so that should be coming up here in November. We should be starting to get some additional hours for that.
Does anyone else have any other questions for her? We'll move on to
Thank you, Chief.
City Engineer, Jared Griffin.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of City Council. Chuck, a couple quick updates for you tonight. First being the industrial park. At the last meeting, we talked about that the wetland delineation was submitted, and they had that 2-week, 14 days to approve it. That was approved, so we're good to go on that from that aspect. Second update would be the 25-23 project. Most of you have probably seen that it is black now. We have bituminous on the roads. 2 lifts have been placed from Broadway to 11th, except for the roundabout. The roundabout only has 1 lift currently. And then I believe Friday they are planning to pave from 11th to city limits. Get a lift down there, so we should have everything covered up for the weekend. And then after they finish the remaining lifts on the road, they will be jumping to the trail, which should be next week. That is all I have. If you have any questions for me.
Okay, I had talked to Kevin Foster and he had said everything would be done by Friday.
Including the trail?
I didn't ask about the trail.
Okay. Yeah.
There's no chance.
Yeah, I don't think so. But perfect.
Okay. Public Works and Fire, Mark Pattenfuss.
Mr. Mayor and Council, nothing particular tonight, just staying busy with the weather we're having. What the guys been doing, flushing, we'll, besides some along the highway, flushed out every hydrant and pumped out every hydrant this fall. Sweeping, this new sweeper's working very well. And a lot of jetting we did. They did, just over 25,000 feet. I don't know how many total feet we have. I was gonna pull that and I didn't. So that's about 4.75 miles of sewer pipe they cleaned with the new vac truck this year, because the last 2-3 years we've really done very little because we didn't have a truck at work. So appreciate having the good equipment they do. Everything's been working very good. Other than that, like I say, the highway stuff, they keep coming up with something every day, I think. From something's got to be moved or whatever. So with that and the sewer project. Thursday, St. Cloud, City of St. Cloud's hosting the SKWAC. It's, look how you say it, the annual wastewater service charges and capital improvement plan discussion. Is the yearly meeting St. Cloud hosts with all their contract cities. Myself and hopefully Sarah will be there for that, and we'll find out our rate, if there's any adjustments for like the upcoming year of that. We go in that, so we'll be going to that. Other than that, I don't think I have anything specific for you guys tonight, unless you got questions.
So, the only thing I have, I was asked by a few citizens if we could open up the compost site all week.
It is open every day, cause they gotta get in
Yeah,
there
it's
to
open
work
every
on
day.
it.
They're out there, the guys are working out
A lot of
there,
people
and
said it was closed, so.
No, it's.
Yeah, this
it's been
week I was
open.
out there at 7:30 this morning and it was open. They had it open already.
They must have caught it at a bad time then.
Yeah, it's been open.
I don't know, might be more of a Jared. So
Mhm.
striping and signage, are they gonna try and get all that this year?
Correct, yes.
even with the roundabout and all the,
Per the
As-
contract, okay,
Yeah,
per the
go ahead.
contract, November 12th, 11:59 PM, everything has to be done.
Yep.
That's when the
Except
liquidate.
for, yeah, except for that box culvert area. That we've talked about a couple times the last few
Oh,
meetings.
between 11th and 13th, there's an exception there.
But- Then there should still be striping through that corridor though.
They poured the curb through there this year, they'll unfortunately have to tear it out next year to put the box culvert back in.
Yep.
And they feel they're gonna make their date, so we hope.
Any other questions for him?
good luck.
We'll move on to administration. Sarah,
Oh,
Sarah Braun?
I'll talk for Sarah tonight, so she can save her voice. Per Sarah's report, this is the last call to make changes, or the last call to make changes for the budget is November 15th meeting. Just a reminder of that, so make sure you go over that to, if there's any changes, we need to know prior to that meeting. Coalition of Greater Minnesota Cities is coming here, is that correct? On November 15th meeting. Elections is next week, so the front office, they're preparing to get ready things for that. Annual appointments, it will be advertised soon, so keep a lookout, or if you know of anyone that would be a good fit for those open positions, please send them our way. And Sarah will be attending the township meeting, the Gilmanton Township tonight, to get an update on, sorry, can't read that, Sarah. OAA agreement. We have some joint planning applications coming that we need to work through, and that is all she has.
Very good. Does anybody hopefully not have any questions for her?
I got a question. So with the nursing home, they go to the nursing home to get their votes? They don't have to come in person like everybody else? I'm just asking.
Any other questions? We'll now move on to old business. Any old business? Is there any new business? Could I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, meeting adjourned.
Oh, I don't know, I was gonna get a hold of him today and